Hey, everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the Engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live, headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay, every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.
Hey, this is Tyler Jones, and you're listening to the Element Podcast. What's happening, all my woods people? It's a beautiful day here in the western United States. I am on the phone with everyone's favorite co-host, Casey Smith. Casey, America is beautiful, I have to say, and I believe that God shed his grace on thee.
I know it. With brotherhood from sea to shining sea, man. That's about where we're at right now. I'm close to the Gulf, and you're getting kind of close to the Pacific, really, I think, right?
That's right, man. That's right. I've been all over this nation, it feels like, in the last couple days.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm a little bit envious of you, but because it's been smoking hot down here where I'm at. But today was actually pretty nice. We even got rain.
That's what I heard. It was smoking hot when I left, dude. I'll tell you that. I think it was the last day I was there was June 30th, and it was like I had a show that day. It was like 102 where we played. It was an outside gig. 102 and at like 11:30, it was a 12-degree heat index already. So I don't really know what it ended up, So anyway, it's not quite that temperature here. Look, we're looking at 75 degrees right now at 8:45 in Driggs, Idaho. That's where I'm at.
Driggs, Idaho. I haven't even heard of that place. Man, that's cool.
Yeah. We ended up here kind of by accident. But I'll tell you this, man. I am looking at the sun setting on the west, clear, not a cloud in the sky, and the Grand Tetons to the east.
Dude, that's cool.
It's great.
I've never seen mountains to the east of me, so that's probably a new thing.
Yes.
Like that's probably kind of weird.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so that's awesome, dude. Mm-hmm. So you and I actually haven't talked a lot. Part of that's just by statute because there's not a lot of phone service out there, and part of it's because you are doing the family vacation thing and been sticking to having fun with the fam. So how's that been going? Man,
it's been fun. It's different because this is a long trip from where we live in Texas, and
no kidding. How far is Driggs?
I couldn't tell you. I'd have to look it up. I mean, we need some fact checkers, before I start spitting game like that.
If we have a listener in Driggs, Idaho, I'll send you a shirt.
There you go. It has to be for real, right?
Yeah, for real.
Send me your driver's license, Social Security, credit card number, and we'll be good.
I'm going to send it to a Driggs, Idaho address. If it's not a Driggs, Idaho address, you don't get the shirt. So.
There you go. Yeah. So it's a long ways, and I've got a 6-year-old that's well-traveled and does fine usually in stuff like this, in situations like this. I've got a 2-year-old that's not obviously quite as well-traveled, and so she has difficulty at times with the length of these trips. We've broken it down where we haven't really had to travel more than like 7.5 hours in a day. That was just kind of our plan. We had a one shot here in the middle of the summer to do this, and none of us had ever been to Yellowstone, so that's where I am trying. That's where I'm heading my truck, pointing my truck tomorrow. So I am super excited. But, I guess going back, we started out, I had a gig, which was actually like 2 hours west of home. So that worked out well because basically I just had them meet me, left my truck at a friend's house, and they met me and threw some stuff in the truck, and we took off, and we got to Amarillo at 1 a.m.-ish that night. And we had booked through, I believe Expedia. So we were going to
I know where this is going.
Yeah, we were going to stay in a hotel there. And
yeah.
Guess what happened when I show up with a 2 and a 6-year-old and my wife to our hotel there in Amarillo at 1 a.m?
Well, you booked through a third-party service, and they didn't reserve your room.
They reserved it, but
they weren't guaranteed it.
They'd had the lady at the front desk was like, "We've had like 10 people come in here tonight already and say the same thing you're saying," and she's like, "I'm so sorry." And so Expedia, of course, I'm sitting there talking to a foreign person who I don't understand that well, and I'm very hacked off because I've got a 2-year-old that's crying in the back seat because she can't get comfortable and she's really tired. And, it's just a bad situation. I'm like, and she checks her system to see if they can find any other hotels, any other available hotels. And I'm like, okay, can't find anything. And so they didn't offer to like look for any other hotels that weren't in their system and like call or anything like that. That was like not part of the deal. And it hacked me off so bad. I hadn't been that mad in a while, and kept my tongue tied pretty well, I guess. But we ended up calling like several hotels, probably 10 or more, and finally found a room at this hotel that I'm not 100% sure, but due to the maid running around in the parking lot at like 1:30, I'm thinking that they rent rooms by the hour, even maybe.
Ooh.
So it was actually the hotel room that we slept in was nice. Everything was nice.
Really?
I mean, it was a cheap hotel, and for the price that we paid, it was nice, man. But it was like on the outside as I'm sitting in the parking lot at 1:30. There's stuff going on there. I see this woman and her 2 or 3 daughters running around, and she's cussing out this guy and says, "You can have my car," and this and that, and she, calling them all kinds of bad words right in front of these little girls, that are hers. And I'm just like, man, it's so sad, and all kinds of just really shady stuff happening as I'm like loading my truck from the bed to the front of the truck, like trying to put some stuff inside. And anyway, so that's where we stayed. We got up the next morning, not too early, but pretty early, and took off to Colorado, went through New Mexico, and came up, and what we wanted to do was we were going to try to get to Durango, and we were going to stay in a campground somewhere around Durango, and I was going to have a very short window, but hopefully a good chance at catching a Colorado cutthroat. And so for those of you that don't know, one of my big goals in life, I guess, is to try to catch all like the native species of cutthroats here in the U.S. And so Colorado is one that I haven't done, even though you would think so. But since they're kind of a West Slope thing, it's not the easiest thing for us to get from Texas. So anyway, tried to do that. When I get to Durango, I'm looking at these. I mean, we can see the smoke, and I'm looking at these fires and online, and I'm like, man, the wind sets up good for us, the west wind, so it'll blow smoke away from us. But I really like the fires are basically on top of where we're trying to fish, and I'm like, I'm not taking my family in there anywhere close to these fires, And so anyway, we get out there and decide to go west. We end up in Dolores, Colorado. You ever been there?
I have. I ate breakfast in Dolores, Colorado one time.
What were you on the elk hunt?
Yeah, it was in 2016 when I went up there with Pop and just went on his rifle hunt.
Okay.
I think it was 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we drove all through the night on the same route that y'all went on to the daytime. And I drove the whole way, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we ate breakfast at a little bitty cafe in Dolores. It's a cool little town, man.
Man, it is. It's small, but it's cool. And do you remember what restaurant you ate at?
I don't, but I can tell you it was on the left side of the highway if you're headed northeast.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big bluff up there behind it and stuff. And it might have even been A-frame. I can't remember for sure.
Well, yeah, there's a few little spots there. We ate it. I don't think it would be this spot, but we ate at Dolores River Brewery. And
no, we didn't eat there.
yeah, I figured that's not a breakfast place, but there was pretty good pizza, and they had like a live band in the back and everything. Man, it was kind of hopping. I was very surprised. Like there was a ton of people there, but yeah, if you're ever out there, southwestern Colorado, Dolores River Brewery is a pretty cool spot. But
there's something about the culture in like southwestern Colorado. I really enjoy the folk music that comes out of that area.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's even a thing, but like there's always some radio stations in there that I really like listening to when we're driving up there.
It's funny you say that because there was kind of a folky band playing there. They had upright bass, and everything. And I guess that's just kind of the deal. They had some pretty big bands that had come through there. One that a lot of people will probably know is Sturgill Simpson had been through and played there. So pretty cool, man. But we ended up camping. I can't remember exactly what river it was, but we camped on a really cool little river spot. I like camping by the river, and so we did that, and it was really cool, man. There was maybe 3 other people there. The guy that checks everybody in. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on what they call those people, but campground manager. Yeah, park host. Yeah. He was super nice, and he was from Texas and everything, so we talked for a while.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, we ended up in a spot that was just right next to this perfect babbling brook, and it probably would have been a little more raging if there had any rain out there at all. But
yeah, no kidding.
Anyway, it was nice. And then the next morning we got up and went to Mesa Verde National Park, which we didn't even know was there until we passed by it and started looking at some stuff. It's a cliff dwelling park or area or whatever. And so we went down there, and we get there. We're like, let's go see them, the next morning before we head out. So we go down there, and we get there, and they're like, it's an hour in to see these cliff dwellings, by vehicle. And that's no traffic. And so we were like, man, we want to bad. We just can't do it. So we got our little passport stamped and everything, that show that we've been to the national park, and we headed on to Utah. So on the way, we're planning on going to the Provo, Utah area. And on the way, my wife is sitting there looking. She goes, we're driving right by Arches National Park. And so I was like, we're going. And so we went, and we drove in,
sweet.
And we saw the Arches, and we saw Balanced Rock and all these different, sculptures basically that the wind and water has created. And man, it was cool. We didn't go the whole route or anything, but we went in there for a while and looked at some stuff, and kind of went on our way. But man, that was super cool. And one thing I do remember about Utah, and I'm sure we're going to visit the whole Utah topic later on. But there was just a ton of I hate to say it, but wasteland. just straight up, didn't even hardly have sagebrush on it,
Yeah.
Crazy.
Mule deer country.
Oh, I'm sure there was some, but I'm talking straight desert, man, that we rode through.
Yeah.
Just nothing. But anyway, come back to that later. But so we ended up camping kind of east of Provo. And so my big, I guess the ones that I these big cutthroats that I wanted to knock off my list, Utah actually has the 4 that I was going to attempt on this trip. One is the Colorado cutthroat. The problem is I didn't want to catch the Colorado cutthroat in Utah, so I didn't go for it.
Well, it's named for the river. It's not named for the state.
I know, but I just have this thing, man, and so
I get you. I'm actually looking at my Colorado River cutthroat hat that I have.
Yeah,
from Rip Your Water right now, so I get you.
So I just didn't even attempt that one in Utah. The Yellowstone is another one. I don't want to catch that one outside of Yellowstone.
Wait, there's Yellowstone cutties in Utah?
That's right. Yep.
Natively in Utah?
Native cutthroats. Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So I didn't want to do that outside of Yellowstone. I want to do that in the park, So
I don't blame you.
I didn't do that. I didn't attempt that. But the Bonneville cutthroat and the Bear River cutthroat are the other two species, and they're, I think, only found in Utah.
I didn't even know the Bear River was a thing.
Maybe Nevada. Nevada might have one of those.
Is that a subspecies, or is the Bear River truly its own thing?
I mean, it's truly its own thing. They say that it's
part of the Cutthroat Slam.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the Utah Cutthroat Slam. I know that. So they have 4 different cutthroat species in their slam that you can pay to be like a slam, holder or whatever.
That would be cool.
So anyway, apparently I guess they thought originally they were part of the Bonneville species, but that they found out that there was enough differences, I guess genetically, that it could be its own species. So I don't know. I mean, it was one that I definitely now I have, whether or not anybody. And it's one of those. And I'm glad, because I'll tell you in a little bit. But we went for the Bonneville first because it was kind of on the southern end of what we were trying to do. It was on the way. And we ended up on a campground that was had a lot of people in it, fishing up Diamond Fork River or Creek, Diamond Fork Creek, I believe. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we get there, we get set up just in time for me to get probably 45 minutes before it really gets dark and we need to be back at camp. And I have only talked to Casey a few times on this trip, and one of the first things I said to him was, dude, it is so difficult to be on a vacation with a 2-year-old, a 6-year-old, and your wife, and somehow try to film and take pictures of yourself catching native cutthroat species that are in these tiny ranges, So anyway, it was tough, and you don't get the time that you want to be on the river and stuff because you can't be selfish the whole trip. So anyway, I get down there that afternoon, and we're all down there, and I had to find this little spot where we could all hang out. You can't just go there's a great spot in the middle of thick willows where nobody's probably cast a fly. Instead, mm-hmm. You got to find the beach that every road hunter has been on in the last month. And so anyway, we go down there, and there's actually a pretty good little river bend pool right there. And so I throw a hopper dropper pattern in there a couple times into the hook of that little, the inside corner of that bend where it's real slack. And the sucker comes up and slashes it. First fish is a Bonneville cutthroat.
Man.
Yeah. Pretty quick. I mean, I probably had made 5 casts up in there. And
that's
just
awesome.
Caught the right drift and had him looking up and everything.
And he hit the hopper?
No, he hit the dropper. No, he hit the hopper. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Hit the hopper. I was throwing a stimulator pattern, I think. So
cool.
Anyway, I came up and crushed it. It was probably 6, maybe 7-inch, probably 7-inch cutthroat. Wasn't big by any means.
I'll take it.
I know. And so I got a picture, and it's slightly out of focus. I'm going to try to fix that in post. But I didn't take it, so I can't, half the pictures that I have holding fish or doing something, I've got this dirty look on my face because my wife, I'm trying to teach her, hey, here's how you run this camera. Also, let me not lose this fish that I'm holding right here. That's a gem of a fish,
Yeah, and keep it wet, bro. Keep it wet.
Exactly. That's the other thing, trying to keep it wet, So anyway, she did good though. But yeah, that was a little out of focus. But that was the only Bonneville I actually caught. So the next morning, I get up early. I've been getting up before everybody else, just naturally. But got all my stuff ready, and I drove back to that spot. because it looked good, and I thought, man, nobody's hit it, and all night or whatever, and I'll be out there before anybody else. It's right here close to the campground, and I'll be able to come back and check on them quick. Go out there, I fling a hopper dropper pattern again out there, and like, I don't know, I threw probably like almost 10 times up in there, like 8 times, 9 times, and nothing. And I'm like, dadgummit, there's shit. Like, I did have only caught one Bonneville, but the night before I had like a bunch of slashes that they missed or refused like last second. So I had I missed like 3 or 4 or 5 fish that afternoon. So I thought, well, there's several of them stacked in there. Anyway, the next morning went in there, threw it like almost 10 times, nothing. I'm like about to move. I cast it one more time up in there, and Moby Dick comes out of the water.
Ooh.
I'm sitting there. I got a half weight, okay, because I'm trying to catch like 7-inch native cutthroats. I mean, if you're not a fly fisherman, it's literally a 5-foot like child's rod almost. It's just a tiny fly rod. And so this huge fish comes and literally like porpoises halfway out of the water to get my fly, and then takes off down. And I thought it was a brown at first, but I didn't know for sure. And if it was a cutthroat, it was a monster. And so anyway, I start fighting this sucker on this half weight, and there's like root balls and all kinds of crazy current in this little section, this bend or whatever. And I'm maxed out on like the pull of my rod. You know what I mean? Like, I can pull harder, but my rod's just going to bend more, like it's not going to do anything to this fish. And finally, I mean, I fought him forever, and I got this on video and everything, which is not great video, but probably put something together so y'all can see it. But finally get him in. I didn't have a net or anything. We didn't buy a net till that afternoon. So anyway, get him in. It's a big brown, and he's like maybe like 15 inches, but literally shaped like a football. I mean, literally shaped like a football. Humongous midsection girth. I mean, it was awesome. Ended up later on that afternoon catching almost a carbon copy of him, just a little bit downriver.
Did you get shaky?
Oh, dude, I was like freaking out. I was like, in my mind, I was like, I gotta land this thing. This is like one of the bigger browns that I've caught, or whatever. And anyway, it was awesome, dude. So we went kind of from there. The next thing, like since I had caught the Bonneville already, we were going to try to go do the Bear River thing. But back to like not being selfish, I wanted my kids to catch some fish too. We already bought them some stuff, and they could fish for free in Utah. So we went and bought a little more stuff, just to make sure we had all the gear that we needed, like for them to catch some fish. And we were going to go up to just a high mountain lake. I figured we could smoke them. There's an area up there, like kind of northeast of Salt Lake or kind of east of Salt Lake City, that's like just littered with like tons of different lakes, essentially, with some of them have brook trout, some are rainbow, a lot of stalkers, and I'm sure there's some cutthroats and stuff up there too. But found one online, just searching, and we were going to go try to catch a bunch of brook trout, maybe keep them and eat them or whatever. So we went and bought like fishing rod, hooks, bait, night crawlers. We bought lemon and butter and salt and pepper and foil and everything. We were going to, cook them. It was supposed to be a for sure deal, according to this article. Yeah. And we get up there and we work our way in. It's a lake that's like, it's probably like quarter mile off the road, no trail to it really. And so I'm like, oh, this will be great. Nobody's going to be fishing it. And there wasn't. We get in there. But other than the 2 brook trout that tried to kind of come up and look at my night crawler one time, we literally didn't see another fish for like an hour. And that's so tough. I was pretty upset that they didn't get to catch any fish really, but we decided to go on. We're just kind of like, if you can't tell, we're just kind of winging this trip. I mean, this is just, we kind of have an outline, but we don't know necessarily like day in and day out what we're going to do. So personally,
that's how I have fun.
Oh yeah, we've had a blast.
Man, it's just so much better if you don't have to have such a stringent schedule to stick to,
Oh yeah, dude. I'm telling you, we've had a great time doing that, and it's easier when you have kids too, because like
Wait,
get fussy.
What? It's easier when you have kids?
Well, to be that way, yeah, I think.
Oh, I got you. All
yeah,
right.
because
I didn't know if I'd ever hear you say that. That was
no, it's it makes it where you just don't have like if they start fussing, you don't have to be somewhere, you know.
You can pull over and that's where you stay at now or whatever.
Yeah. So we've kind of done that, but we ended up leaving there, and we checked at a ranger station on this map. And I mean, dude, the Mirror, we ended up basically coming into the Mirror Lake Scenic Byway, and there's a whole bunch of lakes up there by Mirror Lake, but Mirror's a big one. And man, it was incredible. Like the road basically past Mirror Lake there and even up to it. But I mean, it's a long ways from civilization, it felt like, you know, but to find out on the Utah side, it felt like that, but not so much if you were to come from the Wyoming side. So anyway, we ended up camping basically at the Bear River, the East Fork campground. And I was going to attempt to catch a Bear River that evening. So we get down there and I hand my wife the camera and I'm like, hey, take a few stills of me casting right here. There's kind of a cool, it's kind of backlit by the sun and everything, you know, this would be kind of cool maybe. And there's a few hatches going on right here and we're literally camped right on the river, you know. And so we walk down there and I start casting and I've literally been there 15 seconds and I've barely got my line pulled out of my reel and I just fling it into this slack spot behind this boulder just because I might as well if I'm going to be getting pictures of myself being, you know, casting or whatever. Yeah. And dude, I hook up and start pulling in about a 9-inch Bear River cutthroat. And I end up catching him right there, right off the bat, dude. Man. Yeah, it was awesome. So at that point I felt like, okay, well I got done what I came to do. And so I just kind of we went and cooked dinner and hot dogs, and we actually made our first fire because it was so dry down in Colorado, and cooked hot dogs and all that kind of good stuff. Had a good time, and then the next morning, which was this morning, so July 4th, you guys will be listening a day or two later. I got up and went out and kind of had a tough time in the morning, but I ended up catching another cutthroat and a couple brook trout. And I thought that it was just cuts and brooks in there, but come to find out there are other species in there. But later on that afternoon when they woke up, or afternoon, but late morning, we decided to go downriver maybe 150 yards. And dude, I found a couple pools down there and it was just awesome. Crystal clear. They were coming up and smoking. I had a dry dropper rig and I was catching most of them on the dropper and was catching all kinds of just different colored cutthroats and stuff. And one came up, I thought it was a rainbow, but it had super dark slashes on its underside. And I was like, I guess it's a cutthroat, you know. I didn't think there was rainbows in there, but I found out later on. I told my wife, okay, one more pool. I'm just going to hit that pool and we're going. So I throw it up in there and it's got this overhanging tree, break off. I hung up my dropper and I had to break it off. So I'm like, I haven't hit this one little spot, little eddy. And I throw in this giant grasshopper pattern in there. And I just fling it in there and this tank comes up and it's about a 16-inch rainbow, just spotted up, red all over him. I mean, it was just an awesome wild fish. And so got to kind of end on that, you know, but got my cutthroats taken care of.
You tore it up for a easy little family trip thing, man.
I did, man. And
awesome.
Tomorrow I'm going to try it. We're going into Yellowstone. I'm going to try to do the Yellowstone cut as well if I can. I got to get in and do some research here in a little bit.
Is there special regulations for where you can fish and stuff like that?
In Yellowstone?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is. I mean, it's just kind of dependent on the water body like everywhere. But, yeah. I'm not exactly sure.
There's some stuff with lead there, too, so beware of that.
I would imagine, yeah. I don't know. I'm going to definitely do some research here in a little bit and try to get that done. I mean, I don't know. We ended up, basically, we left Utah, and we had no service. I mean, since July 1st, the morning we woke up in Amarillo, I haven't had a bath yet. Like we've camped backcountry, not backcountry, but campgrounds, since then. And so we ended up getting a hotel tonight here in Driggs. And I got my first shower. That's always a good thing, like
Nice.
coming out of the back country or campgrounds or whatever. And so we're trying to book a hotel actually up near like Jackson Hole or somewhere, in that area. And my wife was looking all that up and apparently booked the hotel thinking we were going to be in Wyoming, and it was just like a near Wyoming hotel. And it was actually in Idaho. So luckily we caught that mistake and didn't end up looking for it in a different town in Wyoming. But yeah,
that's good. Yeah,
we're going to take the west entrance, I think, tomorrow. At literally like 2 miles from Driggs coming into town here, just like, I'm talking like in the city, basically, there's like houses all around. Like it seems like it's weird because it seems like everybody's got like their 80 acres. So like you can look out in this valley and you see like house here, house there, house, like all throughout. And then they've got like their 40 to 80 acres that they're growing alfalfa on or whatever. Well, I look out in this alfalfa field like 200 yards off the main road coming into Driggs, bull moose.
Dang.
Out in the alfalfa, long ways from the mountains. And
that's cool. That was
hang
one
out.
of y'all's like listers of what you wanted to see on the
yeah,
trip.
we didn't even have to go to Yellowstone to see it.
Man.
So got some pictures of
that?
it. Yeah, it was cool, dude. Just velvet,
Sweet.
dark velvet horn or antlers, and
Yeah.
it was cool. But we ended up here and went to Seoul Korean restaurant, which was out of 100 ratings had a 4.7. So went in to try it, and it was awesome, dude.
Man,
it was awesome. I had some
What'd
kind
you
of
get?
had some kind of beef dish. I forget what it's called. It had like onions, peppers, beef, a couple little things, and then it came with
That's
like
all the good stuff.
Yeah, it came with like 6 different sides or something. It had like these kimchi dishes. It had fish cake. It had some kind of radish that was like kind of had like the same thing as the kimchi had on it. Am I saying that right?
I have no idea what that is.
I may be saying that wrong, but I think that's it's a fermented cabbage. And then they had like
I know that stuff you're talking about.
Yeah, then they had like a same thing that was like a fermented like zucchini or whatever. And then they had the fish cakes, which were like fermented fish cake. I mean, like
that sounds good.
little strips. I ate it all, dude. I mean, it was all good.
Yeah.
Actually, I loved it. And so did that, some sushi, and now we're here at the hotel, man. So I know it was long-winded, but we hadn't got to catch up in a while, man.
No, there's a bunch of fish in there I didn't know actually happened. Only picture you've sent me is of that big brown.
Yeah.
On the halfway. So
Yeah.
I didn't know that you'd had as much luck as you had. That's awesome. Dude.
It's been great. I'll tell you what, man. The Bear River campground that we were at, literally not another soul in the campground. We were probably like, if I had to guess, like 50 miles from a town in Utah.
Ooh,
legitimately.
it's my kind of place.
Idaho. I mean, when we went out towards Wyoming, and there wasn't. I think the next town was like 30 miles, but there was a bunch of like ATV stuff going on, and like there was kind of like this one little lodging area right in there. Maybe a couple houses here and there on the Wyoming side. Because, I mean, we were literally like a few miles from Wyoming.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'll tell you what. If there was a place that, like, I would revisit, even though I've caught the cutthroat there, that Bear River stuff, man, it was awesome, dude.
That's cool.
It was awesome. Remote, nobody around, mule deer everywhere, just awesome.
Something about those East Branch campgrounds. Isn't that what'd you say it is?
Yeah, East Fork. Yeah.
East Fork, that's right. The
Yeah.
East Fork campground, because that's what we stayed at in Arizona, too.
Was it? I thought it was the West Fork.
No, we stayed on the East Fork, I'm pretty sure. Maybe it was West Fork. I could have swore it was East Fork.
I don't know.
I don't know. Either way, that's
Either
cool,
way,
man.
the forks are the awesome
the forks,
places.
man. Look for forks of the river.
That's just like that's where the the natives are always in the forks usually, So,
yeah.
But anyway, one thing that like I don't know, I'm not sure if like China owns us right now or not. I haven't kept up with any news or anything, but You did inform me off the line earlier that there have been some public land happenings recently.
There is some public land happenings, and this could get complicated. And I probably haven't done my due diligence on this. I've just read the BHA publication and then the tweet from Senator Mike Lee of your favorite Bonneville Cutthroat State, Utah, who also seem to be just like the haters of haters when it comes to public lands. He tweeted something pretty disturbing the other day, and then I read the Outdoor Life article about it too. But so I'm going to give you the gist, and there probably are some smaller details that could be ironed out. And if you're listening and you care about this, and you should, then you can go. I'll actually make sure we link to the BHA post below, because they kind of give you a little form, petition, way to send a letter and everything. Because here's the deal, guys. Mike Lee came out and just straight up said it. And it's about as scary as it's been for public land transfer. I'm not saying that there's a bunch of support for this out there yet, but these things keep coming from Utah, and there is always support in the Utah delegation. Side note, this is why it's that way. Okay. Utah has a very heavy Mormon population. It's something we all know. They tend to vote towards the right side of the spectrum, towards the conservative side of things, pretty much unconditionally, no matter what the ballot says. Similar to the way I feel about things, because there are certain moral qualities or moral boundaries I won't cross in my voting life, if that makes sense. Okay. So the state of Utah is consistently red. So bad guys can get in office, maybe not bad guys, but guys who do things that we don't really agree with when it comes to public lands can get in office and make choices solely because they know they're going to get the vote, if that makes sense. That was a very condensed and very confusing way to say that that's why Utah always has this public land stuff coming out. Mm-hmm. All right. Senator Mike Lee proposed a couple things. All right. But the biggest being that his long-term goal is the transfer of federal lands to the states. Like verbatim has said that. Okay. There's a lot of people in Utah, or a few in Utah at least, and elsewhere, usually really rich guys or gals, who are all about this. Why is this super concerning to us right now? Because come Monday, President Trump's going to start the process of selecting a Supreme Court judge, and Mike Lee is a supposed candidate for the Supreme Court on this deal. So this is pretty scary thing, man. And whenever you're talking about a guy who has got that much power and apparently that much influence on the conservative side of things, who doesn't, inertly agree with things that I hold in value, then it's pretty scary for me as a voter, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So Mike Lee says that we should reinstate the Homestead Act. Okay. Do you know what the Homestead Act is, Tyler? Do you remember that from school?
Is it basically where if you settle a land, you can claim it up to X amount of acreage or whatever? That is correct. It's 160 acres. I don't remember if it's per person or if it's per household or homestead. But in 1862, anyone who is a U.S. citizen, that means free slave or otherwise, was granted 160 acres if they move out west and homesteaded. Okay. And what that led to was, I believe, 1/10 of the U.S. You can find this stuff in this Outdoor Life article, but I believe 1/10 of federally maintained lands were given away in the Homestead Act. Okay, and he's trying to say that that's something we should do nowadays. We live in a completely different society than a post-Civil War America, where
westward expansion was like the biggest thing at the time, right? Okay, so the Homestead Act of 1862 led that many, I think it's like 15,000 people or something, I don't remember, a ton of people out west to homestead, right? And that's how we ended up in a time period that we like endearingly call the Wild West, which in pretty much was a lawless or law of the town works, you know, a bunch of outlaws just doing what they do, intertwined with a ton of Indian attacks on all these homesteaders. And there are arguments to be made that it wasn't the U.S.'s land or the government's land to be given away in the first place, because all they did was stake a claim to it on a map. It's all these native cultures and native people's lands, and it's looked at like they're the bad ones for attacking all these homesteaders, when in reality these homesteaders went in and took their lands without asking for it or paying for it, right? And a completely different time period. The Homestead Act wouldn't work today because we don't have a whole bunch of post-war individuals with no jobs and no money, right? Like we're actually doing really well, probably like the best the economy has been since FDR back in the day, right? So why do we want to do that? Why should we reinstate the Homestead Act? I don't understand where like who's going to benefit from this.
You know,
but I do know who's going to benefit. What?
It just seems like, so was the Homestead Act, was it a tweet that he made?
Yes.
Okay, because that sounds just like maybe a guy that's trying to hire him to be on the Supreme Court. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get political here by any means, but it just sounds like, man, just a crazy idea that's just meant to get people talking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
So,
yeah, and well, that's the thing, is that the Homestead Act is looked at it as a great success, right? Westward expansion was like, what's the term for it? It's not doctrine, but it's like there's a term for like the destiny, manifest destiny. That's what I'm
destiny.
trying. Yeah. Okay. And westward expansion, manifest destiny. You know, all that. Like the idea that the United States should stretch from east to west between the two seas. You know, that idea came back and was kind of multiplied by the Lewis and Clark expedition, and then turned into what it is today. And the Homestead Act is looked at as a huge success. All right. We're talking about a different time and place, right? Like it is totally different. But at the same time, I thought about this earlier. What is so intriguing to me is that the land that was being given to these homesteaders it wasn't rightfully given to them by the U.S. government, because it's actually the land of the native cultures, right? Now, I'm not sitting on this couch that I'm on in my mouse house saying that we need to give that land back to the native cultures, because that's the way humanity works. Like we've done this for thousands of years. Like just new groups move in and take over lands, right? And we can't pay for the sins of our great grandfathers. It's just not how things work. Okay, but at the same time, just as the U.S. government didn't have the right to give away the lands of all those native cultures, the Indians, they don't have the right to give away the lands that you and I and every other individual in this country own, deserve, and need to be a part of and care about. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this is our land. Like one of the patriotic songs that we sing, this is 4th of July, right? This land is your land, this land is my land, right?
Yeah.
And there is a rich guy from Utah who's telling you that, you know what, those filthy feds, they need to give up that land and we need to give it to the American people, right? Like it's something it's just so full of rhetoric that is just made to appeal to your blue-blooded, hardworking American. But just because it appeals to you doesn't actually mean it's correct. Right?
Yeah.
It's just it's just an absurdity to me.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't know how this gets traction. I don't get it. And I think that the only thing I can see and fathom is that, well, there's two things. A lack of education, Like, people don't realize that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guilty of it. I was in my mid-20s before I realized I literally could go to any national forest and go camp there.
Right.
You know, like, I thought you had to, like, ask permission or something or talk to somebody or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, no, you own that land, you can go there. And then the second part is people don't go enough. People don't do what you're doing enough.
Right.
You know, like, we've gotten to a world where we're satisfied in our little bubbles, or we want to go, go out on the boat in the lake, or we want to do things that are like the expensive hobbies. People don't go on these family road trips where they go and see all this really awesome stuff because they're pretty happy at home with their electronics.
Yeah, dude, you're 100% right on that, man. I feel like, we've been moving around a lot, man. I mean, we haven't stayed more than one night in any campground. And every morning when we put up the tent and we pack all our crap into the, all these different Tupperware boxes or whatever they're called, Rubbermaid boxes, and like stuff all the chairs down in there and the dirty clothes and this and that, every morning at the end of it, I'm like, man, I'm kind of like, I wish we would just stay here another night. This is a great campground anyway, or whatever, you know? And then I look at it and I'm like, you know what? That is like, it really didn't take that much effort to clean this up. It took about 20 minutes, and I'm going to go see a new place today that's amazing, and just as amazing as the last place I was probably. And I just feel just overwhelmed with like blessing, man, and like the opportunity to do this. And I'm not saying that I'm above anybody, but I feel like that there's not a lot of people that see it that way. Even so like you've got the people you're talking about that are at home with their electronics and fine. But then you've got like all the people that filled the campground that we were at 2 days ago, that are out there camping and enjoying these public places. And I'm thankful for that. But they're also like literally have a small village set up in their camp spot, and they're going to plan on being there for like 5 days or a week, And so, they're not moving around and seeing these different places. They're probably local to Salt Lake City or whatever, but it's fine. Go if they're using it. I'm glad for it. But there are different levels out there. But I think that it does cut off at, like, you've got these huge. I mean, take Dallas, for instance. You've got a huge metro area that's getting bigger by like 500 people a day, I believe, moving into the metro area. And it's just growing and growing and growing. And all these people are literally becoming farther and farther away from getting out into public places and into nature and all this stuff. I mean, and then another thing is, man, summertime is kind of vacation time. Dude, it ain't fun to go camp out anywhere in Texas in the summertime, really. You know what I'm saying?
No way.
It is smoking hot. There's bugs everywhere, rattlesnakes, moccasins. You're getting your humid, sweat every time you walk outside. And so I understand. And then it's a long ways to the Rocky Mountains or somewhere, like that. So, I mean, I get it. 100%. But you're right. I mean, I think that these huge metro areas that are growing are full of a lot of people that aren't really using. I mean, and it's not just them either. So don't let me just, take that and box all these people into that particular. Sure. I mean, there's a bunch of, people, you and I know people that are, hunt quite a bit in Emory, Sulphur Springs, anywhere out in East Texas that we've grown up with, or we know, or whatever, that have never been to a national park, or maybe been to one a long time ago when their parents took them. Don't go to national forests, because, oh, man, I'd have to take off, 3 days of work on a weekend, or whatever. And, man, I don't know. After this trip, I'm fired up, dude. I mean, I am like...
It's good.
I'm just wired for this stuff, man.
Do you know how many national forests you visited so far?
No, I can't. I mean, I could have counted them. It hadn't been that many, but like I can't keep up with them at this point. I mean,
y'all been in 2 national parks?
We've been, Mesa Verde and Arches. We're going to Yellowstone. We're going to go to Grand Teton, however you say that. Teton National Park. And then never know what happens on the way home,
Yeah.
So that's kind of the plan right now. But that's
can you imagine that just imagine a world where 10% of the public lands go away.
Yeah.
Do you think that 10%, one of those places you went to on your trip, could be a part of that 10%?
Man,
absolutely.
Oh yeah, and this is something I was going to talk about, or I kind of alluded to earlier. All this stuff starts in Utah. Utah's already gotten rid of a ton of their public land. They driving through the state. I don't know. I just don't see. There's a lot of desert. I mean, a lot of just wasteland. I'm sitting here driving through and I'm looking at my wife and I'm like, I can't imagine how much this property sells for an acre right here, because we haven't seen a cow in an hour. They don't graze this land, it doesn't look like, or if they do, they're not grazing it right now. And I don't know what these cows would eat. I mean, it's literally half dirt, half like scrubby looking thing, grass thing or whatever. It was actually depressing, to see. And so I think about that with as much land as there is in that, and as much as there is, they've got I think Utah has 5 national parks or something, I believe. And a lot of that is these desert, rock sculpture type, similar to arches or whatever. It's cool. It's different. It holds wildlife, but it's not like I believe it's the Uintas that we were in. It's not like that. You don't just see a mule deer, every couple miles, or whatever, it's just it can't withstand as much biodiversity as a place that's got a ton of trees on it on a big mountain, So I just feel like that it's just ironic that all of this legislation wants to start in Utah, yet they it's hard as all get out to get a tag there, because from what I understand, there's not a lot of public land, and they manage for, trophy potential and that kind of thing. But man, I just feel like they're going to just eat themselves away to no public land. And I can't imagine, this land going away and not being something that we can use.
You want to know what's funny is that this guy, I'm just going to call him this guy, Mike Lee. He made a speech the other day at some university or something. Some whack job decided to invite him to talk, and he refrained from using the term national forest and used the term royal forest instead, so that he could make the juxtaposition of the European model of conservation and how those should be your forests, not the government's. And I'm like, dude, who is believing this junk that's coming out of your mouth? Because that's what you're actually doing in Utah. You're whittling away at this one thing that we have that's called freedom, and you are making it the exact thing that you're spewing from your mouth, saying that you're against.
Yeah.
Man, how can you sleep at night?
Yeah, I don't get it, man. I'll tell you what, man. I have enjoyed this trip so much. I can't even explain it to you.
It's because you've been away from me.
It's because I've been away from the heat more than anything.
I bet.
But man, it has been great. It's just amazing. These big, endless places. It gives you just a feeling that it's not 2018, and you don't have to look at your phone every 2 seconds. I mean, I got the guys in my band. I know they don't listen to this, but I tell them anyway. They look at their phones more than they look up. I mean, it is unbelievable, some of them. And being out here with no phone service, it's great, dude. I love it. Yeah, I've got a ton of emails every time I come into service, and texts and everything, and business stuff going on. But it's just awesome to not have to look at my phone and just truly enjoy my family, nature, camping, fresh air, rivers with clean water. It's great, man. I love it. I mean, I'm all in on this, trying to, keep public lands in public hands, essentially. Not to
do it,
steal a
man.
slogan, but
No, that's not stealing the slogan, man. It's spreading the word. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
Altogether. And on that note, we'll be sure and link to all the stuff we can down below in the show notes to help you get the word out. You know, contact your state senators, your representatives, anybody you can, because this is a real deal, and people are coming for it. And to be honest, man, after you have told me how much sweet stuff you've been getting into, I cannot wait, because I'm actually going to do a similar thing, you know, sans children.
Yeah.
But me and my wife are going to head up to Colorado and see some college buddies this next weekend, and then actually have a couple days just to ourselves and try to do our thing, man. We're gonna, you know, like you were saying earlier with the public lands uses, we're the place that we stay in, that cabin. You've been there with me.
Yeah,
We went to Chase's cabin, and that backs up to National Forest right behind it. Right.
Yeah.
We're going to go and probably try to stop by. My wife doesn't know this. Man, it'll be a surprise for her, but she doesn't listen either. So we're going to try to go see Sand Dunes National Monument.
All
Great
right.
Sand Dunes National Monument, because I'm so intrigued by that geologic feature. And you and I kind of saw, like, we drove by that at a great distance last summer.
Yep.
But it's super cool how that San Luis Valley, like, the predominant winds are out of the west or northwest-ish, and it just takes all that sediment and pushes it up against the mountains there, the Sangre de Cristos, and it has huge sand deposits. It's like super cool. But anyways, there's probably not a single animal around that, but I still want to go see it. So we're going to go make use of that. We are going to try to catch some fish in high mountain lakes in the Sangre de Cristo wilderness area.
Yep.
And try to do that, and then camp there in the national forest. I don't remember which national forest that is, but camp there. I'm going to try to knock the Rio. No, the greenback. I'm going to try to knock the greenback off.
Okay.
Ooh,
I forgot.
I could get the Rio and the greenback on this trip.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So,
I just had that revelation.
Are you going to that greenback area that we were looking at on the way home from the elk hunt last year?
Yeah, 99.9% strain.
Dude, that's pretty cool. Yeah,
I'm gonna
be jealous. I've caught some greenbacks, and I'm gonna be jealous because I don't know. Those are like as close as they get without. I mean, they did discover, I guess, the actual greenback a couple of years ago, but
yeah,
that's as close as it gets for a population that's been known about for a while, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's the cool thing, is I'm pretty sure this population in that particular stream is like the native population has just had infiltration of genetics from rainbows. You know, it's not like it's a stocked population that is impure.
Right.
You know, so like technically those trout haven't moved. It's just they kind of had some little mix up a gene here.
Right.
And there.
Right.
You know, that would be killer.
Dude, that's cool. See, that's one thing I was looking at when I was looking at some of the Bear River and Bonneville stuff is like they would, you know, you would see on Utah DNR website or whatever it was that like they'd be like X Creek is due for chemical restoration in the next like year or whatever. And so like, you know, they're trying to restore them, but
rope known.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, I was trying to find where they had been since forever, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, that's cool. I'm pumped for you. What else y'all got going on the trip? Anything cool?
We're going to try to do one night of romance, if you will.
All
We're
right.
going to try to stay in a nice place one night, like a little cabin thing or whatever, right there in near Westcliff, which is just I just love. That's my favorite valley in Colorado. I think I just love the views of the Sangre de Cristos. And how just big that valley is.
Yeah. It's
just so cool to me. I don't know why, but I'm going to make sure and go eat at the restaurant that y'all wouldn't let us eat at last time we were there. It's fine. But
you're talking about there in Rexcliff?
Westcliff.
Because wasn't that where that dude had that wreck last year on the way home?
Rexcliff.
South of there?
Yeah. That's where man, I don't remember his name.
Yeah,
but
it was like, I don't remember. I want to say Alex
I'm sure
for some reason.
We've told that story on the podcast, but we'll tell it again. So, me and Tyler are leading the convoy of two with Matt and Brendan behind us, and he's got the 600 millimeter lens strapped on. He is ready to get a picture of an antelope buck because they're like running crazy, like running the hills, like going 60 miles an hour, running around. Like, this is insane. And so we pull over on the side of the road. There's like this antelope buck at like 100 yards, like pretty close, you know. And you're trying to get a picture, and we're looking at him. And then you look up and say, "Man, I think somebody's had a wreck up there or something." And I could just see dust.
I saw the back end because I heard it. My window was down because I was taking pictures, so I could hear.
Yeah.
And I heard a screech way up there, like quarter mile. And I look and I see just the back end of this truck shoot by, like, and disappear behind this, like, you know, high hill or whatever on the side of the road there, and then dust. I'm like, dude, there was a wreck right there. And so we take off. And
we pull up to a dismal scene. You know, it's like, okay, so first off, we pull up, and there's like this jacket hanging out the
it was
window.
A sleeping bag, I think it was a sleeping bag.
Okay, yeah, but it looked like a dead dude hanging out the side of this truck. Yes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought it was serious business at that moment. You know, like this truck had rolled a couple times. It was beat up, and ends up it's just a sleeping bag or a jacket or something that's fine. And this kid like walked away unscathed. Yeah, pretty awesome. I mean,
not even hurt.
Like, no, not at all. And he'd fallen asleep trying to pull like a crazy road trip to go kayaking with his bro up in Salida or whatever, and didn't, like, you know, he's just one of those college kids who, I've been there, just doesn't understand the way the world works, doesn't know what to do. You know, he's half dazed because of and super exhausted, you know. And man, it could have gotten rough for him, but luckily it didn't. So anyways, that's a good way to say, everybody, this is traveling season. Be careful, and if you're tired, pull over and go to sleep.
That's right,
because I've been guilty of not in the past, and sometimes you don't have time to sleep. I get it, but sometimes you got to make time. And also, they sell 44-ounce Coca-Colas and Reese's peanut butter cups in the store. Go get those, and you'll make it.
No kidding.
Promise.
Dude, I mean, even on the way back from Tulsa a couple weeks ago, you know, as soon as I got off the turnpike, I was like, you know, I'm not dangerously tired right now, but it could get that way real quick, and I could tell it was getting that way. Just know your body, you know, and I just pulled up to a truck stop and cracked the windows and spent 3 or 4 hours sleeping, you know, and you just, once you finally wake up, like, you feel like Duke for like 30 minutes, but then, you know, you walk in the convenience store and grab you something and get going, and you feel way better, you know?
Yeah.
So, definitely be safe out there. Anything else in Colorado? Is that kind of just fly by the seat of pants from there?
I mean, we're probably going to go try to fish that high mountain lake that Chase sent us the video of, like those like 18-inch cutties just cruising around in, you know, and go do that one day and just chill.
Those are Rios, is that right?
I would imagine those are Rio. It's pretty close to the Rio drainage, so I would figure they're Rios.
Cool. Well, man, that's
should
cool.
Be pretty sweet, man.
You know,
and then on the way home, got some super ninja stealth mode trail camera hangs to do. Might be a little bit out of the way, might be, you know, going a little bit east with it, but might have to go try it out.
Yeah.
But we're going to be pretty tight. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. It's going to be a long drive back from Colorado. So we'll see. But
that's cool. Speaking of cameras, I am starting to get ready to pull some cameras.
Dude, I am unbelievably stoked about trail cameras right now because, like, you're gone now. Like the it's like the chess pieces are moving, man. Like, you have left on your Colorado trip, like the pawn moved 2 spaces. I'm fixing to leave, pawn 1 space. Like, when we get back, man, our rooks are going to be free, and we're going to be like crisscrossing all over the board, going crazy. And we're going to be checking cameras, and there's going to be Velvet going nuts, and I cannot wait,
dude.
man.
That's awesome.
That teenager cam, I'm telling you,
I hope
that is going to be some good stuff.
I honestly haven't gotten my hopes up too high on that stuff. You know, I'm ready to just check the cameras overall.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really like pumped on the teenager thing because I guess for one, because of the camera pull we did do over on that area about a month ago or whatever. So, but yeah, if it does, man, I'll be very excited. Very excited. So
it's exciting times, man. It's like hunting season's right around the corner. You realize that like we're less than a month away from shooting doves.
Are we?
No. That's September 1st. No, I'm antsy. Dang,
you are antsy.
We're less than a month away from being able to buy new hunting licenses.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I don't really usually like I just wait till, you know, like opening day of hunting license season is not like I'm not too stoked for it, but like going into dove season is when I start like really just like, ooh, here we go.
Oh yeah. Can't wait for that, man.
So speaking of shooter bucks, you've been shooting something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing I've been alluding to for a couple weeks now has finally happened. I came home Monday evening to a very long, narrow box on my front porch that happened to have a Matthews sticker on the end of it.
I was wondering what that might be.
I am the proud new owner of a Matthews Triax. And Tyler, I have to say that
the hype is real.
The hype is real. I put the pin where I want the arrow to go, and the arrow ends up there. It is.
Dadgummit.
I've only shot it at 20, okay, because I'm not shooting the arrows that I'm going to shoot right now. I'm shooting the arrows from my Matthews Adrenaline. They're 330 spines, which 330 with 100 up front is going to be about like my 300s with 150 up front. So, you know, it's going to be pretty similar in shot, at least in feel and in grouping. So I've only shot it at 20 is what I'm getting at here. I haven't set any of my other pins because I'm going to get new arrows soon anyways. But, man, it was crazy. Today I was shooting with Brad, and I only shot one arrow. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be too dangerous for me to shoot two arrows at 20 yards. It's unreal. I mean, unreal.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
I don't know. I feel like my accuracy has improved a touch with all the new things that I've done to mine, but I haven't moved. I've been similar to you. I've shot a lot this summer, actually. But I haven't really moved my pins around too much because I just wanted to make sure that, like, I'm stroking it every time the same way, and I know exactly where it's, you know, like what I'm doing. It feels right every time, and then it's, you know, it's hitting in the same spot every time before I start moving pins around. And so, like, I've shot a lot at 22. I've only shot a few times past 20 out of all the times I've shot this year. But I don't feel like I've gained a ton of accuracy, maybe just a little bit. But I think once I get my pins locked in a little better, and maybe I feel a little bit better.
Well, once you getting flyers, though?
Yeah, it seemed that I was getting flyers. And I don't know. It seems like I get flyers, but then sometimes, you know, I'll shoot a group of 6 or whatever, and I got like, you know, a few dots that I shoot at on my thing or whatever, and they're all just, you know, money, you know. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just inconsistency with me, and it probably is, or what, but I don't know. I feel pretty good about it overall. It's just I didn't get
I've seen you shooting, and I'd say you're pretty improved. I think that the arrow change and the rest change has definitely helped you some, and might just be with confidence, if anything, you know.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, that's a big deal. We did a podcast about that, actually. I thought that was one of my favorite podcasts we did, I think. The Constructing Confidence podcast, and talking about how a big part of success is that, you know.
For sure, man. I tell you what, I had to order a new target,
dude,
because my bow is blowing through the target I have and then blowing through the piece of 5/8 plywood that I have behind my target.
Dude, man.
It's unreal. I ordered a Reinhardt 18-1.
Dadgummit, dude.
Yeah.
You're going to sell me on one of them, but after this vacay, I don't know if I can do it till next year.
That's all right. That's all right. You can kill stuff with your bow, man. And that's something, and this might be the time for another podcast, but, we live in a world that is so market driven and advertising like out the wazoo, but you don't have to buy new stuff all the time. There's the right time for everybody to buy new gear and to keep new gear and to keep their old gear because it still works, right? So you're going to keep your bow this year and you're going to slay with it. You're going to kill freaking bucks everywhere. Yeah, man. It's not going to be, it's not the end all be all break you thing if you don't have a new bow, like we talked about this off air a while ago, but like I've kind of gotten myself into a pinch right now on hunting boots. Like it's time for me to have some to be breaking in for this September. And I haven't got that done yet. And cause I'm really indecisive about what I want to do, because a lot of things, but anyways, if you got some suggestions, listeners, for an Eastern guy who likes to spend a lot of time in the mountains, let me know, because I just like the whole world and realm of mountaineering boots and like that, that kind of boot, like your Mendel IQs or like Crispies. I've heard a lot of people talk about Crispies. Like I don't understand it. I don't know why they're $300. I don't get it, so yeah. Anyways, I'm up for some suggestions on that. But that's like what I was saying. Like it's time. The time is now for me to buy some boots. Yeah. So I gotta get that thing done quick. Yeah, man. It's a very important part of moving around the mountains for sure. For sure. Oh, another new thing on the bow front, BT Dubs. My wife actually has a bow now. Your bow? No, she. Our buddy Brad, his wife, got a new bow last season, and my wife is now shooting Lindy's old bow. All right. Yeah. So she shot it a couple times today and really enjoyed it. Cool. She had some extreme difficulties pulling the bow back. I can see. At like 35 pounds, so that's concerning. Oh, yeah, that is concerning. We're going to have us a whole slew of B-teamers when we start having kids. But anyways, she really enjoyed it, and we had fun together today messing with it and her shooting. So that was cool, man. That was a good experience for us. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you ain't over the B-teamer comment. No, that was a good one. Oh, man. You haven't heard me say that before? I don't think I have, man. Pretty often. No, yeah. I don't think so. So some try hard B-teamers, that's what I'm going for. That's right, dude. That's it, man. Run through a brick wall for you. That's right. So when y'all get back? I don't know. But good. I have to be. That's a great feeling. I have to be back by the 11th at the latest. Yeah. I got a show in Fort Worth on the 11th. So sweet. Anyway, it'll probably be a little before then, but we'll see. Where's that show at? Fort Worth. Is it public? Cowtown. It is, man. It is. It's part of the Ranch music series, which the Ranch is a radio station there in Fort Worth, and we're doing a little support slot for a guy named Kyle Park, so should be fun. Yeah, should be fun. Heard of him. He's a pretty cool guy. Yeah, he's doing a CD release thing, I think, that night, so ought to be a pretty cool deal, man. I'm excited, and we'll have some new tunes because our album is going to be probably wrapped up about, well, no, it won't be wrapped up by then, but it's halfway point right now, so we'll be not long from being able to start putting the bow on top of it, and just exciting to play new tunes and stuff, So yeah. So since you're a hunter, do you put a bow and arrow bow on top of things instead of like a ribbon bow? Yeah, that's how I do it. That's how I usually. But I mean, it's a colored string on that bow. You know what I mean? Oh, that's true. That counts. Okay.
Don't you just have blue string stoppers and everything else is regular?
That's on the oboe.
Okay. Sorry.
I didn't order those on the tracks.
That's good.
Yeah. So, back when I was
last week,
not very well informed. Yeah, last week I put blue stuff on my bow, and then I realized that deer see blue the best, so that's cool.
It's all right,
but, my bow used to have a purple string and those blue stoppers. So it was quite the monstrosity.
Yeah.
But
that's all right.
Anyways,
it's all fun.
I'm styling and profiling now.
I know guys that used to kill them in blue jeans and white tennis shoes, so
yeah,
they're usually in a box blind, but
yeah,
anyway.
It makes a difference.
So I guess here at the end of this thing, I would like to just make sure that if you're enjoying these things, make sure and give us a review on iTunes. And don't forget, we have a new video, a new film called Going for Guad, which is a video of us fly fishing down in the hill country on the Land River, Texas, and catching the state fish, which is native to Texas. Pretty cool little short film. I think it's like 8 minutes and change, and KC caught most of the fish. So
yeah, Tyler did some awesome videography work on this thing, and I like that film the most because we live in a state Texas probably isn't a who, but a state that probably hasn't done the greatest job on public lands in the past. But the one thing that we do have right about public access is the stream access laws in Texas. And if you can appreciate anything, you should be able to appreciate the fact that you can drive up to a river, get out of your vehicle, park it in the ditch, and walk down to the river, and then you can go up and down that river as far as it is designated as a navigable waterway. All right,
which is
in most rivers
very shady.
That's pretty far. Yeah,
it's basically
there's some discrepancy there, so just do it.
It don't even have to have water.
And argue your point. That's right.
But if you get shot, don't come looking at me.
Yeah,
I didn't tell you anything.
Call the General Land Office.
That's right. And maybe the sheriff.
Maybe the sheriff. Yeah.
Anyway.
Or an ambulance. Depends on where you get hit.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'm excited about this next leg of my trip. I'm going to pull out the big lens and try to take a bunch of pictures. I'm excited because I actually, I've only seen one moose, and it was in British Columbia, and he was literally at like 5 miles. You couldn't see him with the naked eye, and you could barely make him out through the spot and scope. So I really haven't even seen one without looking through a spot and scope, and to see one today was awesome. That was one thing I really wanted to see. I have never seen a wild bison, and so I'm looking forward to seeing, Yellowstone bison. I have seen grizzly bears, but I would like to see one, and I know the rest of my family hasn't seen one. And Journey really wants to see a baby bighorn sheep. So we're going to try to make that happen.
That's funny.
I'm excited if we can get some pictures and stuff. I hadn't posted a bunch lately on social, but when I get back, I'll have a lot of stuff to show you guys, and hopefully you'll enjoy looking at some of the pictures we got, and a little video of me catching a couple of little native cutthroats and stuff. And anyway, I'm looking forward to getting back, man, and hanging out with you, dude.
Yeah, dude, let's do it. I'm ready to sweat our tails off checking some trail camera cars.
It's going to be for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
for sure, man. Well, just again, as a little plug, be sure and check down below in the show notes for all the information you need to oppose Senator Mike Lee in his anti-public land rhetoric.
Yeah. And, another thing I would say, it's great to do what Casey is saying, to call your representatives, to go take action on certain petitions and whatever else might may be called for through BHA or any of the others, similar organizations like that. But I think that just using these lands often and using what we've got, and just showing that there's value there, and that when you go buy hiking boots or whatever, you're not usually buying hiking boots so that you can walk from your car to work, that says a lot too. So just keep that in mind as you go forward. And anyway, hope you guys are having a great week. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week right here on the Element Podcast. And remember, this is your element.
Living it.
Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay? Every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Art Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.